a bit silly, but whatever. I'm just ranting now. Rant.
See, I just heard something now.
You heard something now. What was it?
There's like a chime
A
that went off.
chime. Chime. Why did chime go off? Why? I don't know why. um.
Oh.
What? I wonder what that is about. I wonder why. Why? Why? Hello, why? Why? Hello. 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 Hi, Paul. Paul's here. Paul's here. Paul. Blake's having a little bit of technical difficulties with his audio output. So we may just be ranting for a teeny bit. Hello. 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 Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Wait, now Blake, your microphones went away. Oh. Just having fun. Hi, just having fun. How are you doing? Paul, you can hear my microphone, correct? Use the chat and let me know. But, yeah, same deal. Oh, get out of here, silly things. You can hear me, Paul? Just having fun? Okay, good. All right. Sorry for ranting a little bit. Just having fun. Blake is trying to figure out his technical audio issues. In the meantime, if you have questions for Blake, you can use the chat. Just having fun. Also, if you'd like to use your camera and microphone to come on stage to ask questions to Blake, you need to sign up as a registered user. You can do that for free as a supporter for 60 days. Afterwards, it's only $2 a month. But yeah, if you want to use the text chat, you can use that too. Just post your questions in there. You are welcome to share what you're working on. And Blake can ask follow-up questions, kind of dig a little bit into what you got going on and try to, work it with you and point out some possible hurdles you may face or give some insights, some suggestions as a CEO, operator, investor, or something else. He's got a lot of wonderful background experience. Paul, you know Blake well, so, I'm sure you're still here to hang out, but you're welcome to join in as well and ask some questions. Checking out what's going on over in LinkedIn real quick, because we're live streaming this to a couple different places. Oh, okay. Dr. Pax, thanks for letting me know I wasn't paying attention to Twitch, but thank you. Blake will hopefully be right back to answer questions. But in the meantime, yes, you're welcome to use the chat. I'll do a better job monitoring YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch. Yeah, Facebook too. We're on Facebook as well. So if you have questions, comments, you want to share what you got going on, please do. And in the meantime, I can rant as well and share my own experiences. And Paul's a wonderful mentor too. So you got the Paul effect in the room. All right, we got Blake back. Hopefully troubleshooted. We'll be ready to go. Let's see what's going on over here. All right. You can't hear still? What is the deal? What happens if you take out the you can't hear me. What happens if you take out your you're muted again. What a series of silly events. Trying to get the wonderful Blake to share insights with everyone. First, he has an unfortunate accident, has to miss last week, and now we've got unforeseen technical issues. Just goes to show you, anything can happen in the world of entrepreneurship. What was this? Just having fun. If you'd like to, I mean, I'm curious. You can use text chat. I'm curious if you're working on something. Are you building a career? Are you building a business? You have a business idea? Are you looking to become an angel investor, get involved in that side of the local community? What's your deal? Just having fun? What's the root source of your fun? No, Blake, we're using, other Paxmore. We're on circle.so, which is what we have this whole online community for Startmata built on. Circle.so. And it's worked plenty of times. I think this is Blake Baxter's 8th time doing this. It's never been an issue before. Let's see here. Let me see, resources, product, knowledge base, chat, post, live and events. Where's their support? Mic not working. Troubleshoot. No. Making noises sometimes helps. It soothes me mentally, but I hear it also may inspire the technical services to work again. I saw that on a forum post once. What was that noise about? Thanks, Doctor, over on Twitch, for the thoughts and prayers. Yeah, I'm looking through the Circle SO support. Paul Schrader says, Blake is a victim of the Day Zero attack. Robert De Niro is on his way. Out now on Netflix. Dr. Paxmore says, I don't know how the platform works, but my guess is the default audio input and output are not the same devices that he's trying to use. Yeah, we were trying to work that out earlier um, with the settings, trying to change what the default was and select that. But um, you know what? Yeah, actually, maybe that'll be helpful too. If he goes to his audio settings in Windows and double checks that. Paul, how you doing? Let's see what Blake's up to when he gets back, and I will pass along Doctor's suggestion. If this doesn't work, I have a feeling 14th time is a charm. We'll see what happens. All right, Baxter, you're back. All right, Blake, we have a suggestion to check your audio settings in the OS menu and make sure the same devices are selected there as in this circle, so as on here, and I don't know why his microphone went away again. What in the world? Well, on the bright side, most everyone here is not paying for the opportunity to learn and grow. So we're all just getting to hang out. Like default noise suppression, basic, disabled. Huh. Again, it's super silly because Blake's done this 8 times. Yeah, that's okay. I think he's on OS. I mean, yeah, he's on I think Mac. Everyone is encouraged to still post questions. We'll get to them. Hi, Greg, over on LinkedIn. Thanks for joining us. We're having a rare, fun little misadventure with technical issues. For some reason, despite this being Blake Baxter's 1 millionth time doing this, there's been a little change and stuff. Yeah. Paul Schrader has a suggestion that Blake FaceTimes with me and I hold my phone to the camera. I mean, there is we could try doing this a different way. Question. Dr. Paxmore on Twitch asks, are you excited for Takir Dragonstorm to release in Magic the Gathering? Just use Zoom. Yeah, that could work. Actually, Google Meet. Yeah. Okay, let me think this out. Think this through. All right. Blake, do you want to try using Google meet. Control delete. Yeah, I think Blake already did that, Greg, because he was gone for a bit. To see if your devices work. There, I can pipe that into the streams. All right. What just happened? What? What? Okay, I don't know what's going on in the world of technology, because that was out of nowhere. I did nothing. Are there solar flares going off today? I mean, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Okay, all right, hang on. Blake, I'm gonna send you a link for the Google. Which one is it? All right, here we go. Dun, 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 here. I guess Blake Baxter. Okay. Okay. Did he just leave? All right, well, whatever. Let's join over here and see what happens. And I gotta pipe this in. Okay, how do I pipe this one in? All right, give me a second. We're getting creative with 14 different services running. I appreciate the light spirits from Paul and Doctor. All right. Add people. All right. Wait.
Sweet, it worked.
Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. I don't know what you just did,
Dude,
but it's awesome.
I just reset my entire computer. That's all I do.
What?
No, like I mean, I was literally talking with people before this, and so
Greg suggested that, and I thought you already did it, because.
well, I reset Chrome. I reset like literally everything closed out,
gosh.
right? And then It was like, because I was already it's just weird because I was using this like literally up until a call. So
Well, I'm
yeah.
glad things are working. I'm glad I don't need to try to figure out how to do 400 different things connecting. Yeah, thank you, Greg. Connecting Google Meet to Start Mata to then the streaming services. So that's cool. All right, awesome. Blake, if you'd please introduce yourself, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so my name is Blake Baxter. I can't work a computer, but apparently I can talk about tech at the same time. So I don't know. No, so background is socioeconomic theory that I started doing advisory work for an ultra high net worth, high profile person. He is a mentor of mine. And then I got into venture capital, private equity, always been around emerging technologies. Even worked at Apple for a short stint. I left the week that iPhone came out. That's always the fun one that people are say why. But I went to go work at a nonprofit for a couple of years. That was kind of an experience I couldn't pass up. But mainly, again, venture capital, private equity, and then working with startups. And through that, I was seeing a lot. I saw how technology can actually be democratized, it can help democratize industries, lower barriers of entry. I, from a personal philosophy standpoint, feel that there's a tremendous amount of talent around the world. And that if we can access that and give more points of contact where they can be interconnected with other people, that we can do amazing things. And so with that, up until recently, a few years ago, reconnected with an old friend from high school. And then we created an animation studio that has a new form of workflow. I still do investment stuff with my group out of Singapore at the same time. So I kind of wear two hats, which makes it kind of interesting because I'll be in mid conversation, talk about one side of it, and then I talk about entertainment and branding and all that fun stuff that's associated there. On the animation studio side, we developed a workflow that changes how animation is created. So instead of a linear process, it's iterative, which means that there can be a lot more quick changes that occur. One of the things that we like to say is that we make failures inexpensive. And so in failures is where you're able to actually get the amazing creative that can come out of it. And if people aren't scared as much to fail because the cost of it is not as high, you get some amazing creativity that comes with it. Some of the fun things with that is that we are able to do unscripted, or no script animation where it's made up through improv. And then we create that into an entire story for linear storytelling. We also unlock the ability for transmedia rather than a siloed process for it like it typically is. We're able to iterate around that as well. So that's it. And also, the reason why I missed it last week is because I got bit by a dog, which is why I have a few scratches over here on this side of my face. So
Looking cooler. I will say
yeah,
that.
scars are cool. Scars are cool. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still waiting on those villain photos, those villain
Yeah,
selfies. You missed that
exactly.
opportunity, my friend. But yeah,
Exactly.
I'm glad you're well. I'm glad you're here. Glad we can hear and see you and talk with you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so again, if anyone has any questions for Blake or want to show what you're working on, please do. Blake will have plenty of comments or follow-up questions or insights to share. You just came back from a conference. I am
Mm-hmm.
curious how that went, and in the spirit of learning, what expectations do you have going into that conference based on your planning, your strategies, the execution of what you put forth, and what was the experience like actually living it and doing it in relation to those expectations? What did you learn? What was like met? What wasn't met?
Yeah. No, that's awesome, Gary, to bring up. So GDC is where we were all at. We went to GDC. There's a group collective that we put together where it's a bunch of software and hardware companies, and then we're the production studio, kind of all putting that all together. Um, and so that's what we were underneath the banner of, called Animation Revolution or Anim Revolution. And what it is, it's basically, so some of the bigger names that are associated to it. It's like Lenovo, AMD, Nvidia, and then for the game conference specifically, Jolly Research, which is a speech to facial animation technology. Basically, if you look at it as sort of puppeteering the face, so they're able to get a emotionality out of the tone in a voice. So it's like someone can be like happy, angry, right? They can be, just angry, and all of that can be demonstrated in the animation that comes out of it. They also do localized voice too, so it can be the same animation, and then it changes based off the language. So you're not getting any of those like dubbed flapping lips kind of looking for it. But so we were there to really show off what we can do on the cinema quality side of cinematics for gaming. So back in January, we went out to Austin because we were opening up a partner studio or a partner stage. So they have a big virtual production wall, and it's a mocap space that House of Moves set up as well. And so what we were doing there is we were showing that we can use the line of sight for the virtual production wall. For example, there's a lot of actors that are out there who talk about how they're sick and tired of acting to a green screen or acting to a tennis ball, because that's the only thing that they're getting. And these are, Academy Award winning actors that are just kind of, they don't want to do this anymore. Well, we were able to provide, and we can do this with virtual reality too, but we can also do it with the virtual production wall, is show that you can get line of sight and actually immerse an actor in it and get that sort of reaction base that is along with it. What we also did in that demonstration is that we were able to set up another sort of side stage to it, where the thing that we showed off was like this big alien dragon coming over this cliff, and there's like two space marines that are on a reconnaissance mission, if you will. But so when the dragon, that the performer named Richard, when he was the dragon, he was coming up over and he was using a 2x4 and he was crawling over like this, but he was looking down directly line of sight at an LED screen that was the same position as where the Space Marines were. So then they were seeing his face look at them, and he was looking down at them, and he was seeing them move very, very small in front of them. So that kind of brought people further into the virtual world, right? Into this animated world where this is all, this isn't really used anywhere else right now, right? And so what we were doing then at GDC is to show that we can take a linear process and actually change it to their iterative workflow, and we can take assets that look a certain way and feel like for video games, and then have them into this very dramatic kind of story and action-packed scene and whatnot. The other interesting thing that we were showing off at GDC is that what people saw on day one to the very end of the time that we were there on day 3, they saw a different product or a different animation that happened because we were literally changing it in front of people. So we were changing lighting. We were changing, we need to move the snow from here. There's too much snow, dust, and fog and things like that. Oh, we need to add this color here. We need to change this color here. So people got to see that in real time in front of everyone. So that was a lot of fun and impressive too. We were also showing off some live characters. We did have Mark Andrews that we work with, because that's what we are doing our unscripted animation project called Fate or Fortune. So Mark was talking about the workflow that we're doing. Meanwhile, he's voicing one of the characters and with, this horrific accent, but it's funny at the same time. And this character, Bob the Barbarian, is there in the mocap volume performing and moving around, and people are actually seeing that real time happen, then taking the recording of his voice and then putting it into Jolly Research, their software, and then that was being piped back into the character to then show this kind of like ongoing. And that was all done within a few minutes, we'll say, where in typical productions that would take weeks, if not months, to do. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that was a
And
mouthful. Sorry.
no, yeah,
It's a lot.
it's crazy, and it's like it's
It's
interesting.
bleeding edge stuff. We were breaking stuff along the way, so there's things that worked and didn't work, and all that fun
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. I want to get a little more into that for sure. But you did just remind me of this like article that came out recently with an actor who is part of Marvel, the MCU universe, and how she was explaining that she had no idea that she was in certain scenes with other characters, other actors, because of what
Hmm.
you were just describing. She was, yeah, on a green screen, just talking with the tennis ball type of
Yeah.
situation, and it is really interesting hearing about this new dynamic that you're able to create with your software. Um, so that's really, yeah, interesting, and I'm curious. Yeah, again, with what you just mentioned in regards to things breaking and not going as well as we experienced getting going with this. You know, like how did you manage the stress of that and the team and their stress, right? Because I'm imagining that those types of situations for a lot of people are going to be very stressful and chaotic, but in order to come out ahead in a situation like that, you got to stay cool and you got to stay calm and just roll with it. So what was that dynamic like, and what kind of like tips can you share with other people that may find themselves in those situations themselves sooner
Yeah.
than later? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I'm glad you recognize that because definitely there's huge stressful moments, right? Like when we were even at Austin, everything was set up beforehand, everything was very well planned, everything worked, right? And then you get there and then something doesn't, right? And even when we were doing SIGGRAPH, which was back in August, this is a funny story, is that there was a Windows update that literally broke everything that we did. So everything had to be rebuilt within a few hours, right? And just like in Austin, there was a plugin that had an update that then shifted it's like it's a how not a house of cards because that's like the wrong analogy for it because of what it means, but it's like things are so delicate. It's like a dandelion where if just the wrong breath of air can just like all of a sudden send everything go firing flying away, right? And so what it is that we really look at it as creating the baseline of what we want to execute on, and then we start adding the additional flavors, right? So it's like here's the ice cream to make the sundae, and if we forget the cherry, it's still good, right? Right. The base of it is the good ice cream, and it's there. And then we're adding the sprinkles, we're adding the nuts, we're adding the chocolate, whatever else it is, right? But all those things are then additive and can make it that much better. But at the same time, what people are seeing is that they're seeing something right there in front of them that we want to demonstrate, right? I also have to say that the team, everyone there, Dan Urbach, my business partner, and Brian Roush, they were really the ones that were. Brian Roush is from House of Moves. House of Moves is about 30-ish years in mocap. They actually were created to do Titanic initially, and just phenomenal, outstanding partner. But those two guys really held it down when it came to the actual stress because it was very stressful and calm as cucumbers the whole way through, right? And they were having fun along the way. Another part of it too is that we don't. This kind of goes back to like magic and like not Magic the Gathering, but magic like magicians and things like that. But it's like if a magician tells you after he does a trick and it's so impressive to you that things were wrong with it, it completely spoils the magic, right? Magic is the whole feeling of belief, right? And so if you remove that belief and you start pointing out all these issues along with it, then people start to be like, oh, well, this wasn't the greatest thing, right? So for us, we just don't point out, except for internal, and we take notes so that we know how to adjust and improve in the future. But publicly, we're not pointing out, oh, this could have been this could have been this, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that helps too.
No, that's
Yeah.
wonderful, and there's a couple things and touch on. So Dr. Pax Dr. Paxmore over on Twitch said butterfly effect, asking if
Yeah.
that's, yeah, yeah, and then
Yeah.
while you're working on the technical issues, they also had like a fun question, just to throw a random question out, and they asked, are you excited for the upcoming release, Magic the Gathering release of Tarkir Dragonstorm, the dragon set. So yeah, yeah, we're interested if you're a Magic player and if you're excited about the new set dropping. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the other thing too that you reminded me of, so me and my friends, many of them grew up to be professional musicians, playing with Ashley Tisdale, um, uh, Miley Cyrus, and Kelly Clarkson, and a couple others, and the group of them consistently say when they're on stage, the worst thing to ever do is let on that they made a mistake. If they make a mistake, instead of worrying about it, getting into it, double down on it. Just go harder. Just go harder and just sell that energy, make more magic, and everyone watching you will never catch on. And even if they did, like, the few of them that are like, also musicians that are huge fans, right? They might pick up on that. But even then, they'll fall in love with the performance and what's going on and just rock out with you no matter what. So it is a good, reminder to everyone that it's really about the overall experience and the energy, the vibes that you're putting out. And even if things aren't going how you planned or what you wanted, to the standard that you expected or you think others deserve, as long as you're still putting out those good vibes, no one's going to care. They're going to roll with it. They're going to be appreciative. They're going to have fun. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, like you know, I did music. I went to college for music initially, right, and switched. But one of a music professor is this honors orchestra growing up. What he used to say is that the most complicated pieces should sound the easiest to play, right? And if someone thinks that this piece was easy to play, you did your job right, right? And so it's like into that, it's the chaos for it all as well. And it's the same thing. It's like we would make mistakes all the time. And yeah, if you like just stop playing, right? No, it's like you play through the mistake, right? And then there's enough notes that remind people of all the beautiful notes that you did play rather than the focus on that one. But if you play an incorrect note or you play several in a row and you stop, everyone's memory is focused on what you did wrong, right? It's not erased by all the beauty that you did. So
Yeah, Dr. Paxmar also is adding its authenticity. Like,
yes,
yeah, just going with it. It brings people to that
I
level
like that.
with you.
Dr. Paxmore, what he's saying, right? Because it is that authenticity, right? Where it's where show me someone who's never messed up in their entire life. I would love to meet them, right? And everyone knows what it's like, right? It's like I've been up there, right? I've been there. I've experienced that. And when they see it, there's the sympathy also comes in there where they're like, yeah. And then you got through it, and then you showed, and you're persevered, and that's great too, right? So yeah.
Yeah, they also add, if you read The Name of the Wind, there is a scene in that book that epitomizes this concept. So it might be worth checking out the
Yeah.
book, The Name of the Wind. Paul Schrader has a question in chat.
Yeah.
Question for Blake. What AI tools and for what types of uses do you see that would be worth checking out for personal use and also for business use?
Paul, that's a good one. Yeah, I think AI tools are quite interesting in general, right? But right now, I feel that the human influence is extremely important with it, right? And what I mean by that is that you can have someone can jump into a new Corvette Z06, right? Blistering fast, and they can just hit the pedal and it freaking goes and it does its magic, right? If it's a closed course, railing it around the corners and everything like that, right? But then you put a professional driver in that thing and it does things that you probably would never think, and you're a passenger in that car and you're experiencing it, right? I think AI tools with professionals, with with professionals or near professionals using them are quite remarkable because of that, the human intervention and experience that comes into it, right? What specific ones? There's such a list out there that it is one, it always changes, right? Because I remember 2 years ago, there was like the wheel that was out there. It's like, if you're doing this for, here's AI tools for productivity, here's tools for this over here, right? I think that there's ways that these tools can be used where it actually allows people to unlock and be able to do a lot more, right? And then at the same time, there are some that have come out where they've sort of like made more work for people to do because it reduces the work on one side of it, but then makes more work on the end of it, right? And that's extremely vague because I've experienced those and I kind of don't want to say which ones they are out loud. But it is kind of interesting to see. I think for personal use, it's leveraging things to either to proofread, to make commentary, just the typical chat GPT. What you can do with that is really interesting because it can accelerate the work that you're able to do, where some people are like, oh well, that's getting rid of someone's assistant, or that's getting rid of this marketing person that's over there. But a lot of companies might not have the ability to hire these people, right? And they want to do more and they want to compete, and it's what we might say punching above your weight class, because now you can be very competitive with things. One that's really interesting, whether it's this is a plug or not, but Craig Silverstein, we're working together, and there's an amazing AI tool that's basically business intelligence, what a McKinsey or a Accenture, et cetera, can do at a fraction of the price, and output of information and data are extremely compelling, right? So a company that might not be able to afford $500,000 to to $2 million for a consultancy firm to come in and tell them all of up, down, left, right for their organization and take many months to do it, now it can be done in a few weeks, again, fraction of the price. And Craig is at DealMax right now in his LinkedIn, as you can see. But it really arms smaller private equity firms, M&A groups, biz ops that are internal of a company, to do a lot more there, because they might not have the ability to write very, very large checks for things. And I see that kind of happening, going back to what I was saying before, how technology can democratize lower barriers of entry for a lot of people to be able to do. So I would say is that go on an exploratory journey. I used to say this with blockchain a lot because it always applies to everyone in a different way. Go on an exploratory journey yourself out there and see the ones that really apply to you, right? Because if you need a deck made really quickly, there's an AI tool for that, right? If you just need someone to be able to influence and help you really craft emails, right, or wording, or create an Excel spreadsheet easily, right? ChatGPT is a crazy tool. They even have their image generation on it now as well. Go ahead and do that. If you want to use it for image generation because you literally cannot draw, but you want to show someone, hey, this is the idea that I want for it, and then you have someone else do it. I like this Dr. Paxmore guy. This is great. No idea who he is, right? But I love the peanut gallery aspect of it. And I mean that sincerely, not like sarcastically at all. It's freaking great. So don't do what Dr. Paxmore is doing, because apparently, just do whatever the opposite of what it's telling you. Then Dr. Paxmore, and then you'll get your 300% back. So
for clarity, Paxmore, I'm copy pasting from Twitch chat over to the Start Motto chat.
But go on the journey, right? Because I think that there's a lot of tools and resources that are out there, right? And I do encourage people to do that, whether you're pro or against AI, right? So then you kind of know what's there. I bring it back to the Industrial Revolution. As many people know, I love anthropology, and that's why I like socioeconomic theory so much, right? And the historical aspects that have happened in the world. And you look at the Industrial Revolution of when it started, right? A lot of people might look 1880 to the early 1900s, but if you go back further than that, you see the adjustments that already started to happen with all these inventions that were pulling people off the farm fields and putting them into the factories, right? And that was freaking people out. And then all of a sudden, automating factories pulled people into the offices, right? And that's now freaking people out because what's happening now, right? And so with it is that very much just study what that is, how it applies to you personally, and how you want to see yourself in this future world and go on this journey with it. Right? You can choose to lean into it. You can choose to lean away from it. Right? But that's your decision. And I'm excited, as I always am, with technology and where the future holds, because I think that we live in a highly adaptable society, and the changes that happen along with it, uh, it'll be fun. It'll be interesting. I think a roller coaster too, though. So
Yeah, it is something I appreciate with your sociology background, like the way you talk about these things. And sorry, my camera just froze again. But hang
see,
on.
it's not just me. Not just me.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I had to reinstall the update or an update for this thing, and now it's just randomly shutting my camera down. But anyhow, yeah, the social background it's something that is appreciated and it's important. Um, and then also, kind of touching on something that Paxmore did say in regards to AI, or the main issue with AI tool is that laymen think they are AI when they're not. And this touches on a lot of what you're talking about too in regards to having that human element and being really careful of a couple things. One, it's a tool, and then two, you need to exercise some skepticism and caution and concern with how you use the tool and what its results are in regards to running these queries and asking it to do something for you, because there's a good chance, and as many of us have already experienced, that it will provide erroneous information that is pulling from random sources, because as we've kind of, like, those of us that have spent a little more time understand the way it's weighting the information that it's deciding is typically like what's the most active pieces of data out there on the internet that's getting the most traction, and then it's weighing that more. And a lot of times those pieces of information that are getting a lot of traction is misinformation or wrong information. It's just the internet doing its own enshittification aspect of internet, and creating these echo chambers of nonsense. And you got to be careful with that. And if someone thinks it's actually like artificial intelligence, and they're not practicing that skepticism, they're not taking that precaution of, wait, it's a tool that's really determined by how I'm using it and my input and how I'm going to evaluate it. If they're just thinking about it as AI, like they're talking to an expert, it can be really dangerous and lead people astray. And so, yeah, it is really important, and again, appreciated to hear you kind of like touch on these different aspects of that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's, I really want to kind of go off on that, right, for a second, just because it's really important, because right now, in this realm, in this world of AI, machine learning that can do a ton, right, is that the data is so important, and good data sets versus bad data sets can completely wreck what happens, right? And so in your example, right, with of the echo chambers, the same thing that can happen to a human is happening to AI, right? If you're in these worlds where this is the only information that you're hearing, it suddenly turns into, because a lot of times, quote, truth is consensus of what people think, right? It's where there's laws that might be out there that might be ethically conflicting to someone else, right? And but that is what the truth is. That law is the law, because that is the consensus, right, of what's happening. And so in this case, you're having, there'll be situations, right, where it's really bad information, but the AI tool that you're using thinks that that is truth, that is reality, that is real, and so that's what's going to provide you. But it could be completely wrong, so you also have to know that. It's the same reason why, where if you're using image generation stuff, a lot of it'll look like, Disney and Pixar, right? With like bigger eyes and yada yada, because there's so much information and data that it's been reviewing and looking at. And I'm not going into IP infringement on this. I'm just talking about this, specifically on the data that it's seen and received. So regurgitates things out like that, right? And they're training it on, they trained it recently on different models with like Studio Ghibli, right? And what now all these people are just generating this, and it's like the quality is just completely different. The artist and everyone understands that it's not the same and stuff like that. And people are becoming and getting a trained eye, or trained eye, where it's like I can see an email and I can tell if it's done with ChatGPT or not, or an AI tool, etc. And there's all these tells, but I kind of relate it to where you can go watch a movie, right, that was done, and you thought this was the best special effects ever. It looked so real. It was amazing. It was like, man, this was done in like 2010 or something, right? And then you watch it today, right? And 15 years ago, and you're like, you see, quote, the strings, right? You see all these issues with the lighting. It looks like, oh, it's like, you don't see the depth and all these aspects of it. And so it looks so fake. So with it, it's you have these elements that are there where you start to get a trained eye for it, and people can become sharpened to it. So it's kind of like the veil starts to be pulled off, and people are becoming smarter and smarter, to AI. Not to be said that there aren't people being fooled, because some people, again, aren't, haven't really had the in-depth experience with AI that others have too. So.
Yeah.
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 Dr. Baxter, whoever this guy is, hit me on LinkedIn. I want to connect with you, man. Like, this is hilarious.
I'll share your
This is the
link.
man behind the mask. This is freaking great.
This is awesome. But yeah. Goodness. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by fun conversations. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Paul, like, yeah, feel free, like, yeah, you want to chime in anything else too. I know you're eating your lunch right now, so maybe you're just, having fun with some falafels. You're a big fan of that. I want some now. We got to go to lunch again. Paul's another wonderful mentor on the schedule for those unaware, hanging out with us. I added a whole bunch of mentors, so definitely check out the calendar. Gonna be a lot of fun stuff happening. Yeah, so appreciate that, Paul. Appreciate you, Blake, especially doing this makeup and doing a fun little monthly routine with us.
Yeah. I will say Paul probably won't have the same technical issues as me, so it'll be more entertaining, more interesting.
I sure hope not. Yeah, we gotta get up and test stuff a little bit earlier just to make sure, especially with all the new updates going out. That too, like, yeah, with Windows closing down, I don't know if I need to update my Windows system. I don't know which one's getting closed down. But anyhow, whole bunch of random stuff. Oh, you're having Chinese food. Wonderful. Was gonna go to Taco Bell, but John convinced me to eat slightly healthier while I was driving there. Yeah, I mean, Taco Bell's always been kind of like, the healthier one, I think, of the fast foods.
It is actually.
Yeah,
Yeah. They used to say Wendy's was, they would say, one of the healthier ones too for a bit, right? But don't mark my words on that.
I was like,
No, yeah. I think also, like, going back to like what Paul was also bringing up too, with sort of like just good tools that are out there for it, right? You can use a hammer, right, to like you can use a screwdriver to like hammer a nail, but it's going to be the wrong tool for it, right? But you just have to know what the right tools are for your needs, and that's why I go back to do your own exploratory journey on there. Look at YouTube videos. There's tons of people out there. LinkedIn, people are saying it all the time. And I think that along with it, it's also to kind of, there's a lot of things that people think that they can do now because of the tools that are out there. And there's other people who have been in this industry for many years before ChatGPT was on the radar, and now people are able to. Those people are doing much more beyond, right, what people think the capabilities are, and to kind of like lean into who these experts are and seeing these amazing tools that are there that are at your fingertips, and don't think that you're going to be able to do everything yourself, because you just aren't, right? Unless you're just, quote, kid genius who's doing it, doing something, they're 17 years old and suddenly they, create that $1 billion company with just one person kind of thing. So, yeah. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out, Paul. Appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it goes back to something I say constantly. Context is the key, right? And so you really need to contextualize what your needs are, what you're trying to do, what the tool is, and then like the entire workflow of not just yourself and your teammates and your company, but also the other stakeholders that are going to be reliant on what you're doing, right? And for example, I'm sure you get this constantly. I get it constantly. I'm not even like a big shot. Spam DMs on LinkedIn, spam emails, just pitching you like, hey, yeah, I saw you, blah, 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 check out this thing, right? And then they're using an AI tool, a scheduler, to write the copy, to write the title of the email or the message, and then also do all the follow-up outreach, right? To consistently like hit you again and be like, hey, I haven't heard from you. Check this out, right? And the way most people are using that type of tool is insane to me, because like, one, it obviously they've done no real investigation, research into who they're reaching out to and what's relevant. But the other thing that's like wild to me is they have these things scheduled to annoy you every 2-3 days. And it's like, in what world do they think that a normal person has the time and capacity to read that cold pitch, and even if they're interested, like respond or want to hear a follow-up a couple days later? It's just so mind-numbing. So yeah, I mean, just it's just one of these common examples of people not understanding how to use the tool, when to use it, or properly contextualizing it again for the purpose of why it exists. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. It kind of reminds me, there was a movie called The Big Hit, right? John Woo, I think, did it, right? But there's a scene in it, like John Leguizamo was in it, and so many people forget Mark Wahlberg is even in it, right? But there's a scene where the guy's talking about a trace buster, right? Because they're tracing the call. And so he's like, I have a trace buster, right? Going back and forth. And that's what it's going to turn into. It's an AI, right, tool. And then here's an AI buster. And then they're going to figure out another one, and then needs to figure out another one. And it's just this ongoing battle of it, right? Where it's like, yeah, to your point, the amount of flood of emails and, hey, saw XYZ work, blah, 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 blah. I think it's funny when they like reference some company that I was an advisor for like a few years ago, and they say, oh, I love the work that you're doing with this, and it's going to my one of my company's emails that's completely different, and it's like, this is obnoxious, right? It's distracting too, right? Because this then just turns into a time suck of even me looking at it and distracting about it, even talking about it here, right? In this conversation of it, right? It eats up the amount of work product that we can all do in brain space, even that we're using almost like as a cathartic way of complaining about it, right? Because it is funny. We all are experiencing it, I feel, right? If you're not, I'm happy to set up a bot to just inundate you as well. But with it, it's obnoxious, right? And who's ever going to be doing, that kind? Who wants to work with a company that is so obnoxious too? So
Yeah, that's why I'm bringing it up as like a precautionary tool to hopefully, those that
yeah,
are
exactly.
questioning,
Yeah.
these things, to think about it appropriately. Again, like you said, like don't grab the screwdriver to drive in a nail. Like practice some self-awareness and take the time to contextualize and it's really design thinking, right? Like design thinking, making sure that you know exactly what your goals are and why you want to achieve that, and then look at the different, again, stakeholders and factors that are at play to make sure that you optimize for that outcome that you want. And yeah, I like touching on what you just said. I got just today, I got a spam text message linked to my first startup, A Refuge, which was
Wow.
in 2000. It was running from 2002 to 2005, and this person's like, "Hey, I love what you're doing with A Refuge. You should check this out." And I'm like, "Are you what? Like this is insane!" Like, yeah, it's just yeah, it's crazy. Stuff's out of control.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so we're up to the normal time. If you want to hang out a little bit longer, welcome to. But yeah, if anyone's got final questions, comments, now's the time. Hit me on the chats. If you got it, Blake, let me know what's your timeline like.
Yeah, I kind of blocked out a few minutes after this just as buffer in general. So, and given all of my technical issues with it, so yeah, I'll stick around if people are still around too. So
Cool.
yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I think we're winding down. Yeah. Um, let's do the usual. All right. So, been doing a lot of fun stuff with your company. What are two takeaways that other people can learn from recent experiences you've had? Something, like a challenge that you overcame and how you dealt with it. Something that people can be aware of and hopefully learn from you and not make the same kind of like, or avoid a mistake, or practice something a little bit more efficiently. I'm
Yeah.
rambling right now.
No,
It's a
it's
long
good.
day.
No, I know where you're going with it. No, I think one of the big things is that when you see there's always opportunity, right, in front of you. And just depends on how you're viewing the world that's around you as well, right? And this can be life philosophy, everything else like that too, right? But when there's a lot of, I just want to say there's a lot of sort of negative energy that's out there right now, potentially, right? Entertainment industry isn't doing so well, right? There was that recent I guess a podcast. I forget what podcast, et cetera, but it's circling around. But as Rob Lowe talking about how it's cheaper to like fly people to New York or like Hungary or Ireland. He references them all three of those places for shooting than it is to walk across the Fox lot, right? And what the the impact of all these things that are happening. But it's like what you should do is that you have to operate within the constructs of the environment that you're around. Is that a global environment? Is that a micro environment, et cetera, et cetera? And so with it, by operating within those constructs and understanding where your strengths are in these times of trying periods, right? That's when you're going to thrive. For us, what I thought, what I feel is really interesting is that we looked forward and we were seeing kind of what was happening in the industry. And what we decided to do was really lean into our own projects and the things that we can actually control, right? And by doing that, we started making remarkable things, right? That now people are able to see, and it's right there in front of them with our original IP, working with in a collaborative way with other people, the products that were pulled onto as well to support and everything. That's where we're starting to see things come to major fruition, right? But we could have sat back and said, let's just continue and wait with quote the door open, hoping that someone comes in and says, hey, here's some IP we want to work with you guys on because we know that you can produce this, right? And so in it, we've been able to strive and thrive forward and really show the world what can be done. And that's what I'm excited about. And that's what I think other people should almost, if they're not doing it, look at how they can do a lot with a little or nothing, right? Because if you're waiting for, no investor is going to, if you're trying to raise money right now, no investor is going to just come up to you and say, hey, I want to give you $1 million. That's not how it works, right? You have to continue to persevere and persevere. If you have no money and you have nothing coming in, right, you have to look at your team and what can you create? What can you do currently within the construct of the environment that's around you to make progress, so that when someone comes back to you, they know that you're not beholden on them to write that check, to be, that person within the company, to whatever that they would be doing. You need to keep the ball moving and the momentum going, because people persevering during these times is when people notice it the most, right? Because other people, right, you have to think about, even if you think that there's no competition to you, there is competition, right? And you have to look around you and see if other people aren't doing what you're doing and you're doing it, and you're pushing through whatever barrier that you need to, and people take notice, right? People take notice. So
Yeah, and I want to call attention to that a little bit, because where, I mean, when you're in these communities, you see a lot of extremes. You either have the entrepreneurs that consistently get wrapped up in planning and not feeling ready and holding themselves back and just, burying themselves in research and brainstorming. But then on the other side, you have the other extreme, where you have people that are obsessive and they're working themselves consistently at all hours, and they're one dimensional. They have nothing else in their life other than their ambition and working towards that. And kind of like, in this vein of what you're talking about, this perseverance and getting things done, it's really important for, I think, people to understand that you don't need to be obsessive. You don't need to be working all the time. You just need to be consistently making progress. And the other thing too, I think, is really important to call attention to, is the progress you make doesn't need to be these huge wins. It's just any wins, because any little win is still a success. You're still building momentum. You're still going forward. That's still going to draw attention. That's still going to build respect for you with others in the community, or potential investors, or your potential customers that are going to be drawn to that energy, that vibe, that positivity of you, again, having that focus, that perseverance, that resolve, right? So yeah, I just want to really kind of put a little bit of a disclaimer out there, so those that are of the more obsessive mindset don't hopefully continue that, or at least have a reason to kind of pull back a little bit. And remember, we're all humans. We all have needs.
Mm-hmm.
We all have to take care of ourselves, and if you have loved ones, take care of them and make time and room for those different experiences. And those, as I say all the time, are going to be beneficial to your productivity and your innovation and your ability to resonate with other people and build a wonderful network that wants to see you succeed and be a part of whatever you got going on. So yeah, I love that, what you just touched on, and yeah, it's fantastic insight and advice. Hang on, I'm gonna drop. Dr. Paxmore made a LinkedIn for you to check out. It's
great.
Yeah, it's something you'd expect. So yeah, so you can play with that. But yeah,
That's funny. I still want to say, it's Dr. Paxmore, right? Yeah, Dr. Paxmore. Hit me up if you are a real person. But this is this is straight comedy, man. It's so good. So good.
It could be an AI generated
And if you're completely
persona.
100% serious and you are all these things, right? I don't mean to mock you, but you are hilarious.
They are real.
Yeah. To your point,
I have met them, but yeah,
I'm
okay.
real.
Keep going. Yeah, keep going. To
your point, I think it's really interesting what you talked about, right? Everyone has their own realm that they operate extremely well in, right? You used to go back to, there's what that I always butcher the names of books and things like that because me, I didn't read this one specifically, but it's like what the 8 hour work week or the 6 hour work week, whatever that one was. Um, but what's interesting there, it's like if someone can accomplish if someone can accomplish something in 6 hours that it takes someone 40 hours to do, it shouldn't be about the amount of time. It's whatever the output of that is, right? So if it takes you to grind away, 15 hours a day, 5 days a week, and that's completely healthy for you, and that's where you're sane, that's where you're great, you're all the health, all the wonderful things, and mental capacity, etc. Great, wonderful. But if you're a person that doesn't thrive that way and you actually are more productive by doing 2 hours of work a day on whatever you're working on and you're getting an output that is extremely high quality, great, do that, right? It's essentially choose your own path. Also recognize where your faults are with doing whatever that is. If it is that you work well where you can do 40 minutes and then you take a 20-minute break, repeat it every hour, great. If you work well 3 hours and then you take an hour break and then you work another 3 hours, whatever that is, working straight through, etc. Right? The point being is that do what makes the most sense and the right way for you, so then you can get whatever your needs are and your goals are out of it. Right? That comes to eating. That comes to doing anything out there. Right? Just try to be your most optimal self. Yeah.
Yeah, and that too, again, optimize for fulfillment, happiness, your well-being, and then again, and the well-being of those that you care about. That's where, like, a lot of these grifters or just other obsessive people in these communities, they really want people to be at their most vulnerable and the most desperate, so they're easy to take advantage of, or they're looking for other people like them to validate their own toxic behaviors and what they're doing. So if what you're like, following your advice, right? If you're optimizing for your sanity and your health and your well-being and all that, and you through testing and care arrive at this is what works best for me, then by all means, I'm on board with that. I agree that that's just the type of person you are, and if that's what is making you feel best and allowing you to thrive, then you're thriving. There should be no reason for anyone to take you or push back on that. So yes, absolutely wonderful. Okay, I think that's good. Wonderful notes to end on. You're awesome. Thank you for being a part of this, Dr. Paxmar. Thanks for being a wonderful chatter and chiming in and also contributing to the conversation and direction of that. Blake, thank you as always for being wonderful and a great contributor to the community. And I'm looking forward to you being back at the end of the month as usual. Yep. Yeah. Any final, announcements you got? You want to, end on something? If not, we're out of here.
Yeah. No. One, thank you, Gary. As always, it's always fun. It's always interesting, right? And anything to support, right? Really believe in everything that you're doing, and it's just great having the community, right, where people can come together and have these types of open conversations. To Dr. Paxmore's question about Magic the Gathering, I did play it back in the day during the Alpha, Beta, and Revise series days. Do not anymore. I still have a bunch of cards though, yeah. My business partner and I, we used to play it back in middle school and stuff when we were. And we make the joke, it's like, all these unprotected cards, because it's like, that's just the cards that you had where you're playing it on concrete. And the backs of them now have like scratch marks because of like you're pulling them and stuff like that. Or, taking like one of the mana cards that is probably, one of the early days cards, like they're $5 a piece now or something like that, where like we're just like tearing off edges as markers and things like that, and things like that, where I remember like opening the cards up because I still have them. I looked at them, and there was one where it was like completely loose sitting out. I'm like, oh, here's like, it was like one of the multi-land ones. I butcher the names. I forget it again, forever ago. Right. But it was like the dual land dual land ones or whatever. And sitting out loose, and I look it up, and it's like $250, right? I'm like, wait, wait, and then I looked up this one that was in this hard case because I thought it was a great card, and it's like $25. I'm like, whoa, 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 we're switching this one. So that to be said. So anyway, yeah, I do actually want to start playing again in my infinite amount of time that I have. So
Well-
Delands are worth like 5K.
Yeah, you should go through them again. Take a look.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But
Yeah.
if you want, yeah, you're welcome to come play with us. I am.
Oh, you guys are playing? Okay.
Yeah, I'm starting, and yeah, Paxmer's got me into it. I've been playing a lot on Arena online.
Wait, so Paxmore's a real person? Is that his name, Paxmore?
No, yeah.
Okay.
I'll reveal.
So you know who he is.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'll reveal identity later, but yeah.
Wait, then I might know who it is. So I might know.
I'll text you, and you
Yeah.
can text me who you think, and then I'll follow up with the reveal. Yeah, no doxing here, because yeah.
This is good. This is funny. I like it.
Awesome.
Anyway, yeah, no, it's good as always. We're doing a lot of fun stuff in general, and even on the venture side too. Great companies that are out there. I think that we're in this really interesting pivotal point, and whether that's going to be accelerated soon or not. But I'm optimistic of where things will go, right? And often at times, there's a cliche of to make diamonds you need pressure, right? I do feel that, right? The reason why trees are so strong and so beautiful around us is because of the elements that they have to bear to grow tall and strong to be what they are, right? If the elements are too harsh for it, the tree isn't able to survive, right? But the things that do thrive, it is, right? And I think that we're going to start seeing things that are going to start thriving, start growing and regrowth. And things that might be battered up, they are going to repair themselves too. So I just hope there's optimism around for everyone that's happening, and there's light at the end of the tunnel for you. So yeah, appreciate time, guys. So
Right on. That's a beautiful note to end on.
Yep.
All right, I appreciate it. All right, everyone, thank you for being a part of this, and we'll catch you next time. Take care, everyone.
Take care. Bye, guys.